CEO McAvoy, in your testimony, you stated that you and Con Ed were prepared for the forecasted storm, but the storm was graver than forecasted. You further stated that you wanted to delve into reality and say that things like undergrounding, having additional workers, would cost too much money to ratepayers, and ratepayers would otherwise not want us to do that. But I would like to ground us in another set of realities. The last 2 years, each of those years, you paid out profits to shareholders of $1.3 billion of each of those years. And I believe you forecast a similar profit this year. What could we do if we were not to take those profits year after year for your shareholders and plow them into resiliency, plow them into undergrounding the most essential lines, plow them into having additional resources so that storms, whether they be forecasted as severe or not, do not put the system out for days on end, just as Senator Sanders said that his power personally was out for 10 days. This seems completely unacceptable when your company continually, every year, seems to forecast great profits for its shareholders. So is your company value more its customers and resiliency, or consistent earnings reports?
So, Assemblymember, let me try to put that $1.3 billion into a little bit of context and answer your questions directly. So the stockholders of the company have invested about $25 billion to own that stock, and they expect a return. The two ways that we finance the $3.5 to $4 billion every year that we invest in strengthening our systems has to come from the equity and the bond markets. And to do that, we have to provide a return. So if I were to do simple math and round, bear with me if I round off, we make $1 billion a year. Investors have invested $25 billion. So they're making about 4% on their investment. And frankly, that's not nearly as much as many other companies are able to return. But because we are relatively stable and low volatility, we're able to attract that level of investment. If we stop paying, having a benefit in people to own the company, we will not be able to raise money in the equity and bond markets, and that won't allow us to make the investments that we need to make. And as you consider the $1 billion a very large number, I just think it has to be against the backdrop that they've invested $25 billion. A little bit on who our investors are. Different than many companies, 40% of our investors are what's called retail investors, individuals like you and me who invest, and in our case, often invest for the long term because of the stability. We also have a significant number of mutual funds that people invest their 401ks in, as well as a number of pension funds that are represented there, and they look to make a fair return. And somewhere around 4% is what we typically offer. I'm oversimplifying it a bit.